Get the vibe. This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Hey, welcome to the Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. Find us every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. here on Facebook Live or YouTube. And by all means, check out TFG Unbuttoned, our Tuesday podcast, all of which is available at focusgroupradio.com. I teased it at the beginning, so I'm going to tell you it's going to come later. And we're going to be having Linda, Lauren, and Todd Evans for the Vibe Room Energy Room Clearing Spray coming on later in the broadcast. They've been guests of ours before, very popular. We're looking forward to having them back. And with that, I want to welcome us all to the penultimate week of the election season. And aren't we all glad that it's almost completed?
Ooh, I'm just thankful I've been down in Delaware, so we don't have any of the advertising. You probably don't in New York either. But
Not
I
a
think
lot,
if I was,
not a lot.
I think if I was back home in PA, I probably would be
bombarded
because it's a swing state or a fought state, I guess. And apparently the political advertising up there is driving everybody crazy.
There's a lot of it. We get local reps. Like one of our favorite ads of late is this Staten Island cat fight going on between two people. Every time I forget her name. It's like a Greek name. Every time she's on, she's accusing the other guy of something. Every time his ad's on, he has people saying, she's a fraud. She's a liar. I mean, it's like she's a fraud. They're nasty. They're mudslinging nasty ads. So there you go.
I think all that stuff is, and I often wonder how people, I guess that's just the politics of business.
Does it move the needle?
If you think about how horrible Trump was to Cruz and to Lindsey Graham and the whole lot of them, and now they're all, on their knees. Can't get enough in their mouth from Trump. So,
well, we'll see what happens. Hey, I wanted to let you know, Tim, that I took your advice, and Tim had mentioned last week a documentary that he saw on MSNBC. They are, in fact, one of the producers with Focus Films of a movie called The Way I See It, and it's a documentary by White House photographer Pete Souza, and he was the White House photographer for President Ronald Reagan and for President Barack Obama. And you were very affected by it, and it was on demand for a little while because it had been like a premiere week for the film. But
right.
It was destined to be in the theaters originally. So,
I didn't realize that. So it was supposed to be a theatrical
release. I ended up finding it on iTunes, and we rented it and we watched it last night. And I'll say it this way: we started watching it, hit the pause button, and went over to CBS to watch 60 Minutes. To watch the president's interview with Leslie Stahl and Nora O'Donnell's interview with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That was one set of emotions. And then we went back to the documentary and watched it all the way through without a break. It was an amazing film. It is exactly what you said. It was very emotional. And for me, it just reminded me of what that office represents to me, and I hope it will again, which is aspirational. Commander-in-chief, someone who's in charge of the facts, someone who's there. And, when you showed Obama with young children and it was just an amazing, I just highly recommend it. It's called The Way I See It, and it's really, really well done. And it gave me, especially looking at the Reagan presidency and
right.
They're behind the scenes things. They're moments that we don't always see, and they're people, and that's what he kept saying. That these are the people that they're the same way they are in front of the camera as they are behind it, and you relate to them, and you find it aspirational.
Yeah, and I did you knew about this? I did not when I watched the film. That the probably the last 20 minutes when they talk about how Pete had set up this Instagram account and did the yin and yang of Trump versus Obama presidency. I did not realize that. I did now start following his Instagram to follow along and see what it's like. But I'm surprised that one passed me by.
The shade.
because well, yeah, because I thought I would have been on top of that one, being somebody who part-time spends probably too much time listening to politics or reading about it.
Well, there's a book too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
it's
want to get the
available.
book.
It's available in hardback right now on Amazon, and it's actually a series of all the Instagram tweets, Instagram posts that Sousa did with like it would be the current president's comment, then a picture from the Obama presidency with one of his snarky little. This is Pete Sousa's snarky little Instagram post, and it's called Shade, and it's paperback comes out like November 14th or something. And I was going to buy the Kindle version, but I think this is one you want to hold in your hands. I think this is going to be a book I'm going to buy.
It'd be a good coffee table book. I still have one of I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but one of the political commentators mentioned they were talking about giving, like, what cartoon character would Trump be? And they said that it was Yosemite Sam, kind of the airing of grievances and all the bang, 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 bang. And so I went and I pulled up a bunch of old Yosemite Sam, or as Trump said it, Yosemite. I picked up a bunch of Yosemite Sam cartoons and laughed, and I thought, man, somebody nailed it perfectly there. He's Yosemite Sam. Particularly the way he was with Leslie Stahl. I mean, he was a moron.
Before we hit the record button, Tim and I had a brief conversation about that interview on 60 Minutes, where at the end of it, she brings in a 5-inch thick, perfect bound book. And Leslie's like, "What is this?" And the Kaylee McEnany, whatever her name is, she's like, "Oh, it's the health plan that you talked about."
Healthcare plan.
How rude is that? Like, there's no one in America, no one who has, no Republicans actually put forward a document or a PowerPoint, even a 5-page PowerPoint that says, "Here's our plan," and then she has the gall to bring in a 5-inch thick book. It's a reality machine that's going full tilt, man, and we'll see what happens on the 3rd, right?
Yeah, and if pre-existing conditions come into play, which they think they might, because he doesn't have a plan for that, but he says he does. So I'll take a Julia Sugarbaker line when all the underread, overfed supporters decide that they need to use pre-existing conditions. Good luck, because your diabetes and your obesity is not going to be covered.
Not going to be covered.
Pre-existing condition.
Hey, with that, I'm going to say, what caught your eye?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
So this article came out of GQ magazine, and there's a bunch of them that have apparently been written. This has totally passed me by. And another thing that I'm kind of surprised it passed me by, although I probably have participated in a different way. But the headline is, How Gray Sweatpants Became the Unofficial Symbol of Fall Horniness. So they said that autumn, and it was quite a long article, but essentially they talk about what autumn means to different people, and they set this up. For some people it's a pumpkin spice latte, or it's wearing more comfortable clothing, and then for some people it's leaf peeping. But they said that shockingly, there's a large number of people that want to peep at something else, and that's these predominantly they think straight men that wear these gray sweatpants, and you can see the VPL, or the visible penis line. That they call it. And there's a number of sites and lots of social media, whether it's TikTok or it's Twitter or Instagram, and there's lots of handles. One of them is Gray Sweatpants Season. It's trademarked. But essentially, it's these guys who wear these gray sweatpants, and there's a couple of tasteful pictures if you're watching online that John put up. But if you just Google it, you'll find all kinds of peeping of your own, I suppose. But I had no idea this was a thing, and apparently there's been all kinds of studies about it now, why it's happening. They relate it to guys that are confident and maybe giving the allure of some sort of mystery. But if you can actually see something, you know that it's alive down there. There's some movement if you're freeballing. And it goes on and on to explain how now there's actually a number of manufacturers that are actually now making different types of gray sweatpants that have a certain sort of hang to them, or might be a little tighter or a little looser, depending upon how you want to present yourself. And then, of course, there's the business aspect of it. And they talk about how, according to global fashion platforms, particularly one called Lyst, the gray sweatpant category grew by 14% last year. And right now it's 38% year over year. Now, they think part of it might be because of the event. People are buying more comfortable clothes to lounge around in. Nike seems to be the leading brand with 40% spike in searches over the recent weeks. And then Twitter's had 1.5 million tweets about gray sweatpants and gray sweatpants season. And the particular sites are getting lots of traffic. They said the traffic mostly comes in starting in September. And anecdotally, they said a lot of traffic is moving over to TikTok and Instagram platforms because you could actually see more or experience more. And some of them say that it's fetishizing clothing. Similar to where if a woman in a bra, or they said gay men with jock straps, that this is really kind of the straight guys fetish, and a lot of men and women like to partake in looking. And they said it borderlines on dirtbag, which I laughed because I haven't heard that line in a long time.
Neither have I, and I haven't heard that coming out of like a fashion thing.
Yeah,
Right?
they said that, how did they say it? They said if you want to wear a bespoke suit, somebody's going to love that. If you want to live in soft clothes and be self-identified as a dirtbag, people are going to love that too. I'm always going to be in support of the dirtbag allure, according to this one woman on a podcast. And so they said it's the kind of mystery of it. And I guess I never thought about it. And I went, and there's lots of articles written about it. The one, as I said, I took from GQ talks about it. And I've actually talked to friends about it. We've talked about different bars you go to, and you see the kind of the half drunk straight guys wandering around and probably unaware of the fact that they're presenting, I guess, for lack of a better word.
In gray sweatpants.
In gray sweatpants. Do you have a pair of gray sweatpants, John?
No. The only sweats I have are black, naturally, because that's in my opinion, that's a New York thing. And they don't do what the grays do. I guess it's the color, right? Because it has to be the color. The gray is what, sets that off.
I don't know if I should confess, but I actually tried to get a good grade once by wearing sweatpants into a class. And I was told I was not doing well in this one particular class with this professor, and she was known to like the young boys. This was in college. So a friend of mine says, "Hey, what you got to do is sit up front and wear your sweatpants, but wear your rowing outfit before you go to crew." I said, "Well, I never do. I go home to change before I go down." He goes, "No, wear it to class. I'll guarantee you, she's going to pay attention." So I go in there. I kind of I lean back. I spread my legs. The whole deal. I'm sitting there. Eventually, her name was Rose. And watching her eyes, whatever. She calls me after a couple of weeks of doing this. She says, the way you're sitting is very distracting, because I was kind of just laying back. And she said, you need to sit up and pay more attention. You're very distracting to the class, which I knew was code for don't wear that anymore into class. I ended up getting a B. I guess I didn't spread enough.
Nicely
but
done.
I probably had no business getting a B.
Nicely done. Well, okay.
So what caught your eye?
Okay, this was intended for the two of us, but since you had not had an opportunity to see it, I decided to make it a caught my eye. And this comes to us from our listener of ours named Lisa in Rhode Island. She was actually one of the winners of Pick That Flick a few weeks back. And she was very excited because she never wins anything, but she won Pick That Flick, which was difficult, by the way, for all the winners. And we had 4 times 16 or 24 people that won between Unbuttoned on our Tuesday podcast and our show here, the Focus Group. So congratulations to everybody. I know you all got your discs because they were all sent first class and they were tracked. If you didn't, let me know. But Lisa sent a very hilarious thing, and it's this. Here's how she said it in her note, handwritten, beautiful note. I found this old magazine while listing other magazine back issues to sell on Amazon, one of my event activities. She actually used the true thing, but here we have to say the event because of YouTube and artificial intelligence, and we don't want to. I know you always talk about how resumes in the job search have changed, so I figured you might like this blast from the past. So it is a Cosmopolitan magazine from 1992. And the cover says, Life After College, Meeting Men in the Real World, How to Find a Job When There Aren't Any. Suppose you don't want to work right away. Alternatives even parents can love. And why should they hire you, a dime a dozen new grad? What employees are looking for? I flipped through the magazine. I could not stop laughing at some of the articles. The big shoulders. This is the end of the 80s, early 90s. So, there's fashion has a certain thing. But Tim, the other thing I did here was I scanned the back of the magazine, and because there is this ad for Toyota, and it says Toyota accepts sheepskins for credit. When was the last time you heard a diploma referred to as a sheepskin?
Well,
It's that's what it is though. That is your college diploma is a sheepskin, and
Right.
so I'm guessing it's like a Corolla or something there.
Yeah, the college, all automobile manufacturers have these college graduate programs. So for young college graduates, they want to try to get you in the car. So if you have a degree, you use that and get some sort of credit for being able to lease your first car, buy your first car. That is funny though. Yeah, to call it a sheepskin. It doesn't seem like 92 was all that long ago.
Oh,
For some of the misogynistic language too of, meet men in the real world.
that was my favorite. Meeting men in the real world, as if it like college is. Well, it is different. I'm gonna give it that, but. Yeah, so then what else did Lisa say here? She said, other event madness, introducing my daughter to In Living Color. Not a bad
Can't play
idea.
now, can you?
Yeah.
Can that be made now?
I don't know if it can be made now, but and then she said season 1 and the complete Kids in the Hall both purchased either deep discount or Critics' Choice. So I applaud the efforts to also indoctrinate your daughter into some of our favorite stuff. Being In Living Color was hilarious, and Kids in the Halls. Bob and I still laugh at some of those sketches. The Chicken Lady,
Yeah.
they're
Mad TV, all that stuff was just
off the wall.
It was edgier than SNL.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's probably why we really loved it, was because of how edgy it was. Yeah. So a big thank you to Lisa for your note for the magazine, for playing the games, for being a listener. And, we say to anybody listening, if you want to share something with us, letters@focusgroupradio.com. That is a classic blast from the past, that 92 magazine. My Lord, someone even took the Cosmo quiz. Remember the Cosmo quiz?
Yeah.
So it's been marked off, but it wasn't ripped out and mailed in, because back then you had to mail the quiz in. There wasn't online. You didn't go online. So there you go.
Wow, too funny.
All right, now we have...
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
When we say the only show in the universe, I did laugh about this. Somebody posted something the other day and said, how come Miss Universe is always from Earth? Anyway, I thought you would like that, Nash.
Good line.
It's not a good one. So happy birthday today to Gilbert Hovey Grosvenor. He was born October 28th, 1875. He died in February 1966 at 90. I picked this. He was the father of photojournalism, but was also the first full-time editor of National Geographic magazine from 1899 to 1954. And he's credited with having built the magazine into what is the iconic publication we know of as of today. As president of National Geographic Society, he assisted its rise to one of the world's largest and best-known science and learning organizations, aided by chronicling in its magazine the ambitions of cultural explorations around the globe. And he was born in Constantinople. You know it as Istanbul. And he was the second cousin in the U.S., or the second cousin to U.S. President and U.S. Supreme Court Justice William Howard Taft. I did not know Taft was a Supreme Court Justice.
Neither did I.
That one passed
always
me by.
eludes me, yeah.
He was hired in 1899 as, again, the first full-time editor of National Geographic Society by Alexander Graham Bell. Talk about names, right? Name dropping. He advocated policies of neutrality and positive, upbeat journalism through the two world wars, the Great Depression, and the beginning of the Cold War. And he and his staff, most of whom were in their late 60s and 70s, were criticized quite a bit for being too conservative and too complacent and unwilling to modernize. So their subscription base fell almost out of existence. So he decided to retire. In 1954, he stepped down at 78 and let somebody else take it over. He then did a lot of traveling, while he was with the magazine, and helped write the act that created the National Parks Service. And for years, Congress had prevented the creation of a national park system, and he would travel often with Stephen Mather out west. And in order to try to get Congress to make a move to support a park system, they actually did a special edition of National Geographic with some great photos and made sure every single person in Congress got a copy. And then they helped write what they called the Organic Act, and then it all passed. So they really credit the magazine for helping with push Congress to pass the National Park Service, to pass the act that established the National Park Service. The Grosvenor Arch in Utah and the Alaska mountain range, Mount Grosvenor, are named after him. He also started something called the Cruising Club of America.
What's that?
Well, not what you think. So it was founded in 1922 in Nova Scotia. It's an international organization of sailors that promotes cruising, boat racing, and offshore sailing. So any modes of sailing. But there's a lot written about him. He's somebody that I certainly didn't know much about, and he popped up as a birthday today, and I just thought we should highlight him. It was also Bill Gates' birthday. I mean, that's the ultimate business birthday, right? But
I don't know.
I thought the founder and the first full-time editor of or kind of the father of photojournalism and the first full-time editor of National Geographic, I thought was somebody we should know.
I think it's a great birthday, and I'm glad you picked this over the Bill Gates one because hey, look what he did. He helped push through one of the most important acts in Congress, in my opinion, one of the many most important. But, establishing the National Park Service was a huge thing.
Huge thing, right.
And so think of the millions of people who have enjoyed the parks, and that preservation effort's a phenomenal thing. So good business birthday.
So hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have two guests joining us. We have Linda, Lauren, and Todd Evans for the Vibe, which is a room energy clearing spray. They're going to come talk to us about the product. You might remember Todd was on our show last year, and we had a lot of fun talking to him. So we're going to get an update from everybody and learn more about the Vibe. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now, back to The Focus Group with Tim and John.
Glamour today is nothing but a tight skirt, loose hips, and wet lips.
An entertaining look at the world of business.
Make it work. Make it work. Make it work.
Welcome back to The Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. Focusgroupradio.com is the URL, and everything's there. As I like to say, all the media is housed there, including our Tuesday podcast Unbuttoned, which we would hope that you check out and rate, subscribe, rate. That's the way it goes. It's a very confusing thing. All right, so as we promised at the top of the show, we're going to be welcoming two guests, one who you've met before and one who's not been on the show in a long time. She hails from our days at Sirius Satellite Radio, but it's Linda, Lauren, and Todd Evans. And today they're going to be talking about the Vibe Room Energy Clearing Spray. You guys have met this product before. We love it, and I think you're going to really love the folks that are behind it. So without further ado, if I do this correctly, let us take us to this. Okay, wow. All right, now, in our bottom left, we have Linda Lauren, and on the right, we have Todd Evans. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great to be here. Great to see you this way.
Well,
yeah, it's been a while.
We would prefer in person because we love your energy and your vibe, which is why the spray is so aptly named. But because of the event, we're going to be doing it this way. I still get the good feelings, though. Linda, you look great. Todd, you look great.
Thank you. There's always a good vibe to be had. Always. And my mother loved that word, the vibe.
So
let's
start with Linda. Linda, you are a fourth generation psychic medium, and I love when you say, I come by this work honestly via a long line of lovely ladies. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, about myself. Okay. I do really come from a long line of these ladies. And the recipes that I gathered for the vibe came from a huge box that I found after my mother passed. And they were always recipes, all these recipe books. And, back in the day, they would put in plastic whatever recipes you had. So my grandmother, my great-grandmother, all the psychic ladies had these little recipes. And they had all the recipes, like, alphabetized. They had Italian, they had, it was Greek, there was Italian, there was German, all kinds of foods. And in one of them, I found a note folded up. And I took it out of the sleeve. And I said, well, you know what? I'm supposed to do this work. I feel called to do this work. What does this mean? And this note, all it said was, well, I'll read it to you, a positive recipe. It was in my mother's beautiful cursive handwriting. Make something to spray so we can clear the heavy, negative feelings around and replace that vibe with positive energy. Everyone will be happy, even the ghosts. And when I saw that, I said, oh, I know my mother was very much the person who would constantly leave herself notes. I thought that was just a note to herself. But after she died and I found it, it became a message for me from the other side. And so I embraced what she wrote down. It took me 10 years to develop the formula further. I come from a grandfather who levitated tables. I come from a grandmother who was a healer. I come from great aunts who did a lot of different cooking to help you feel better. They would offer insight. And I had one grandmother who actually was in Newark, New Jersey, and used to, like, somebody would watch her 7 children, and she would do little readings in her bedroom and help people out. And it was just one thing after another. And then finding this recipe just tied it together for me.
So Linda, when you were growing up, was this recipe around and you didn't know it, or is this something that you came upon after your mom had passed?
Actually, I came upon it after my mother passed, but there was a version of it that my mother used to spray around the house. And I don't know what she was using at the time, but I know that it smelled. The only thing I could recognize was a top note of rose. And after a while formulating this stuff, I realized what was some of the recipe and what wasn't, that she might have used. But in a way, she did cleanse, because she wanted everybody. She loved that word vibe. Let's raise the vibe. Let's get everybody up there. She's like 1969, 1970. Let's get that vibe going, kids. Come on. And so she would spray, and it was a regular spray bottle. But it wasn't until afterwards, I would say, that after she passed and finding the complete recipe within all these recipes in a book, that kind of sealed it for me. And I just started doing testers, and I'd give them away to clients and say, give me your opinion.
Well, on that note, you gave some to Todd, right? Todd, are you you're like an official tester, I suppose, correct?
I'm an official tester, that's for sure. And, when I met Linda, I met her at a party one time, and I just was enamored, and she happened to live near me. And as I got more involved in our friendship, I just was in awe, having never really believed in the metaphysical, really, like as far as psychic mediums go, and contacting the other side and how that can help you in life and how you can help it for yourself. So over the years, I just slowly learned. And even when it comes to the vibe, I'm going down to Linda's office. I'm like, oh my God, this you could actually bring into an office. You can't bring sage into an office, be like, hey, sorry guys, I'm smoking up the whole office right now. And then I always say the proof is in the pudding, because the proof is in really how it makes you feel, or how your meetings go, or how the office goes here, and so forth. And so I just find it a wonderful business tool, and really my connection to Linda has always been, and okay, how can I take this and how can I use this to give me the edge in business? Because you guys know, business can be really negative in general. Right? You have something you want to sell, people have something they want to buy, they really want it, but that whole confrontation and back and forth, and it's like, what can make that easier? And that even goes to the 101. I mean, I think the first thing Linda teaches any of her students is meditation, right? Outside of this, like, how do you focus in on what's really important to you, or how do I now come in and know what to do in my day? So I really do try and meditate to start my day now, to focus on, okay, if I can just get this done today, I'll be happy.
He sprays it beforehand.
Well, I wanted to go back to something Todd said about sage, because a lot of people, at least friends that I know, will buy a home and they might feel they want to get the negative energy out, or they find out something might have been a divorce or some bad energy from the home, and they'll burn sage. So how is this different than that? Obviously the smoke part of it, but is this the similar concept of ridding the negative energy, or is this something different?
Partial concept. This is what I would say. Native American sage is native to Native American people. they have a belief system that they're working with. And that belief system is having to do with the sky and the earth and everything else. And sage would be part of the earth, and it's part of their cleansing routine with a feather. That has gone on for centuries, but the difference besides the smoke, between sage and my product is that my product raises the vibration after you've cleansed. So it's like, okay, really nice. Let's spray some and let's put some incense in a room. Okay. But what is that incense doing? Is it just smoking the place? Does it have an intention? My product has an intention. And that intention is, once you're spraying it, it's twofold. You're spraying it to get out the vibe that is negative and bring in the good vibes that are positive. Because too many people are stuck in a rut that way, where a vibration is concerned. You can walk into a store, you can walk into a house, a party, anything, any place, and you will say to yourself, ooh, I wonder why I feel so, what do I do about that? Well, what do you just spray the vibe? So carry a little travel size. We got the travel size too. I mean, it's amazing. So you'll feel better. You feel lighter. You feel as if you have done something different for your environment. It has nothing to do with sage, except that it is a form of clearing, just like there are many forms of clearing. The churches use incense. They're ringing, and they're the incense. That's another blessing and clearing. But I designed the intention to raise a vibration, to make it feel better. So if you have a spirit who likes rose, you're in good shape. Because there's some rose scent in there. And, I'm Christian. I was raised a Catholic. And my spirituality comes out in scent and color. So I'm about color, energy, and scent. So rose would be a very pinkish, reddish. Let's raise the vibration. Let's give ourselves some strong way to get rid of anything that we don't want in our lives. Even if it's just an intention, the spray is helping you through that.
Last time Todd was on the show, he gave us bottles. I have a travel and I have a full size. And a couple days after we did the show, I was having a particularly bad day. Thank you, Tim's holding his bottle up. And I saw the bottle sitting on the counter, the Vibe spray. And so I thought, I'm going to go down to the mailbox in a minute, but before I do, I'm going to try to change this apartment dynamic or whatever's going on that's making me such in a foul mood. So I started our layout is such that I could start in the bedroom, come into the kitchen, do my office, move to and then the last room was a living room in the foyer. I put the bottle down, I go out, close the door, and go down to get the mail, and saw a neighbor briefly. Hello, come back up, and I came in. And clearly, the room obviously had a very light scent to it that was just different. And within minutes, I was like, I like this stuff. I got to be doing this every day because it did change my mood. Now, whether that is either that's just I think you could go super deep on this, but clearly the scent alone shifted my perception of what was going on and made me think differently or do something different. So I love the fact that you do travel size as well, because Todd, when you were last on, you talked a great deal about how the minute you get into a hotel room, what do? You break out the travel spray, right?
Well, I learned that the hard way because I went to Philadelphia for a wedding with our dog one time and my partner. And the more you meditate, the more you're in tune to energy. And I walk into this hotel room late, ready to go rest. And I could just feel the negative energy in the room. Like I said to Jeffrey, I'm not going to be able to stay in here. And he's like, what? I'm like, I could just feel, it just felt wrong. But fortunately, he had brought the vibe. I, of course, had forgotten it. I wasn't even thinking of it at the time. And he's like, oh, I have it. And he sprayed the room. I went and took the dog for a walk. And I came back and I was like, oh my God, it's so different. And then I related to just like what Linda said about stores. You ever walk into a store and you're just like, this store's not going to last. Or, it's you're intuitively feeling something. And so everyone encounters that, whether you just had a bad exchange with someone or not. So to me, it's just a tool to try and change that up. change
And
it.
excuse me, but when you get energy directed not at you but around you, you don't realize it. And I usually tell people, put your shields up and your spray out there, because that's what's going to protect you and shield you, because you don't know. Somebody could be having a really bad day, like Tim was saying, maybe a divorce, maybe something went wrong, or they could have lost someone or something. Is really they're really down. It's not directed at you, but you guys were just walking down the street, passing each other, or you were both in a car and you're at the red light. There you go. It's like you're feeling this energy, but it's not yours. So it helps you disown other people's energy as well.
No, it's a cool thing. And Tim, go ahead. Before you say that, Tim, marketers have known about this for a long time. If you just look at how we can control mood through scent, there were companies around that used to specialize in malls where they would have like odor dispensers at the front door of a Victoria's Secret or whatever it may be, and it was so subtle, but as you pass through, you entered a space that had been, treated differently with a smell or something.
Right.
I had a quick question about, could this be helpful? And I should have sprayed it last night. I had a really crazy dream last night, and I was just wondering, if you don't sleep well or you have trouble sleeping, is this the sort of thing where if before you go to bed you were able to spray it in your room, would it be helpful?
Yes, and I'm going to answer that because I just got a validation from someone about that very thing. I had sent them a bottle, and this person told me the next day that they never can remember dreams that they've even dreamed. He sprayed it the first night, and he had a dream. And he was able to have a dream that felt better. It didn't feel like he was, pent up from any kind of negativity. So it soothes your sleeping, and it helps you to have, I would say, a more calming experience, so that if and when you are dreaming, those dreams are more able to be deciphered. My mother used to be known as the dream lady, and she used to do dream interpretation on paper and call people all hours of the night about their dreams. So dreams can be controlled by scent, because as you're inhaling that, you're feeling the calm of it. So your dream will be a little more manageable.
Have you ever sent a case of this down to the White House?
A truckload. Tim, you a case. Why would you stop at a case? It should be a truckload. Yeah.
Well, really, a tanker load. I don't think there's enough vibe in the world. No, there's enough vibe. We'll just keep on the way getting more. That's all.
Once in a blue moon, I have a vacuum that is, instead of having it has water in it. And once in a blue moon, I'll take a whole bottle, I'll just pour it into the water thing and vacuum the house, and the whole house, it just permeates the entire house. And I got to tell you, it feels better. I'm just like, whoa.
All right, so you guys, you guys put up a new website, right? So we have that that's been at the bottom of the screen while you've been on. It's thevibespray.com, THEVIBESPRAY, thevibespray.com. That's where you want people to go to find out more and all about the product, right?
Yeah. Yes. There's there's the story of the Vibe. There's how it came to be. There's family pictures. There's a way to buy retail and wholesale. And there's a lot of information. There'll be more blogs, there's a lot of media still going up, because the Vibe has had a lot of media, big media. And so we want to encourage people to understand that, hey, it's an average everyday product that you can use, but it's also very special in its intention and what it can accomplish.
See, I wonder if I'm not using mine correctly sometimes, because I'm very sparing with it.
No. Why be sparing? Why spare? Just spray away.
Because I always think, as Linda mentioned, I think it's I'm like, okay, now I'm going to spray it, but versus me dumping it into the vacuum like Todd did, I'm a lot more cautious with it.
that's okay. There's nothing wrong, and there's no way with misusing it. Basically, you spray it when you feel the need to spray it. I mean, I'll like a lot of times on cleaning day here, I'll go through all the rooms with the Vibe spray, and I'll just spray it all. And every night I do the same thing. I do it in the morning and I do it in the night, in the evening. And it just, you start to feel a lot better, and you start to feel a little more, centered.
So right now, if somebody wanted to purchase this, they go to your website to purchase it, or is it available other ways as well? If you want to tell everyone how to.
They can go to thevibespray.com. It's also on Etsy, and it's also on my own website. The reason why I encourage thevibespray.com is because it has more of the ability to purchase wholesale if you want, like Christmas stockings. A lot of people are buying for Christmas, already for the holidays. They're like stocking up. I would encourage to go to that particular site because there's several different ways to purchase. But there's no right or wrong. It's everywhere. It's even on Amazon. But I like thevibespray.com because we can give you a little more personal attention through that site as well.
It is a great stocking stuffer, and probably very good if you're having family over for Thanksgiving.
Definitely. No, I agree. I even gave one to the mail person as a gift because they were saying that they could use a little.
Oh, sure. I couldn't. That's an excellent idea, Linda, and that's a thoughtful idea that says I care about you and your space.
Thank you.
So we encourage you all to go to thevibespray.com, and it's a great stocking stuffer, as Todd even noted too. It's great to travel with if you're going to hotel, or if Linda's at a party and she comes to your house and you smell a little rose, you know that she's trying to clean up.
That's the top hint. That's the top hint.
Oh, one of the biggest things I didn't tell you guys, I started to, was the reason for the rose was as a Catholic and as a Christian. The Blessed Mother represents roses. Saint Teresa represents roses. And that was just from my parents' belief system.
Wow. I love the rose smell because I always think of my my grandmother for some reason, and I don't know why, but it just is. So Linda, Lauren, Todd Evans for the Vibe Room Energy Clearing Spray. Thanks for joining us today, and we encourage everyone to go to thevibespray.com and shop away, and also treat yourself and give some to others as well. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
Take care and God bless.
Thank you. This is Tim Bennett and John Nash with the Focus Group. Thanks everybody for joining us. Be sure again to go to thevibespray.com. John, I hope you have a good week, and I hope everybody wears a mask. And if you are driving, don't text and drive. Arrive alive. Take care, everyone, and have a good week. And go vote, John. Right?
Yeah. Vote early, or as Trump said, vote early or vote often.
Vote early.
Don't do it too much.
Take care.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.